Have you ever wondered why some people seem to make it look so effortless when they sell higher ticket premium prices? And possibly for you, it seems like it's the hardest thing in the world. Have you ever wondered why some people are able to get 5, 10, 15, even $50,000 for the same types of programs that possibly you could be providing, uh, yet they're able to do it effortlessly? So on today's time together, what I'd like to do is peel back the curtain and show you 7 ways to make price completely be eliminated from the equation. But also, what I'm excited about is to kind of walk you through the step-by-step process that you got to think about in order to make selling bigger ticket items more effortless. So one of the programs I have is called Offer Wingman, and it has a couple different features. Like one of them might be I interview people right here in my studio, and we use that as a sales mechanism for their high ticket service business, whether it be an attorney, whether it be a dentist, whether it be a doctor. But we also use it for people that are in the expert business and they're trying to sell more of their premium price services, whether it's a done with you, a done for you, or it's just pure advice. What we found is that when people are interviewed, the normal blockages that someone might have disappear a bit. And those, why I'm sharing all that is because the minimum fee for that is $18,000, and it ranges all the way up to $30,000, depending on if people want to also have me help with their sales proposition, et cetera, like that. So in the past 12 months, the average sale that we've made within Offer Wingman is around $15,000 to $20,000 per customer. Now, what may surprise you is that not everyone has the means or should invest that amount of money, which is a key distinction in when you're selling big ticket, who you're actually selling to. But what I want to share with you that's completely counterintuitive is that when you sell to people like that, it's an easier sale than going after and selling people, say, $299 a month or $2,000 packages. Now, you'll see me come full circle on this and see when low ticket is appropriate and when high ticket's appropriate. But what I found is that most people aren't selling enough high ticket offers because guess what? They don't have premium price offers and they're not offering it to enough people more often. So if we can do that for you, would it be cool to sell? Would you give me permission to show you how you can sell more big ticket items? Okay. Now let's go through a couple things, right? So we're going to be a little interactive today. I'll draw on the board, and forgive me, I don't have a cameraman behind the thing. So when I move around a little bit, you'll have a little of this little kind of like jumbled around, but we'll be fine. So the first time I ever sold a really big ticket item in a room and saw the whole room stand up and go back to the table and buy was when I was running my dental coaching business. And so we had a couple hundred people in the room. I hired a mentor and coach, paid a lot of money, actually $50,000, to have him come for the weekend, sit with me, go through my PowerPoints, and coach me on how to set up the stage and set up the room appropriately. Now, when you're selling something like that, 90% of the work is done. This is critical before the sales pitch ever happens. And this is where most people are missing the boat when it comes to offering higher price items to people. And which I'm going to get into here in a second. What I want to first kind of talk about is, well, that experience, the biggest thing I realized was it's a lot easier to sell higher ticket to a lot of people and get a lot of people to buy than it is to like haggle over higher ticket or certain price points one by one. And what we are going to go over today is how to create a pent-up demand so you have a big buying pool that want to work with you so that you can charge the prices that you want to charge, increase the margins in your business, and work with people you want to work with so that the business you're in is a lot more fun. Okay. Now, we're going to steal some intelligence from Elon Musk, right? So the reason why we want to go to big ticket early and often, I'm going to use a thicker, let's see here. If this will give me a thicker early and often is because we want to make more money in your business, right? So there's not, if you have the means to provide a higher ticket service, you want to do that fast. And the reason is because it gives you a cash infusion. Now, the past week and a half, like the next week, I fly out to Tampa to speak at an event for one of my clients, and I'm helping him sell more of his high ticket premium services, as well as just speaking in general. But one of the first things that I do is I want to get cash in my client's pocket immediately so that anything I do is free. Now, that's a selling frame, by the way. What I just gave you was a selling frame. So whatever dollar amount you want to charge, the first question we want to ask is, how do we make the investment our prospective client is going to have disappear immediately? The reason is because if we can get the money back in their bank account very, very rapidly, then the rest of the relationship with you or their investment is absolutely free. Does that make sense? And so that's where a lot of the brain power has to go into to really, and we're going to get into this by the end of this training. I have my 7 little tricks that is going to make price disappear for your client. But if you can get somebody to buy into, like, look, when you join our thing, whether it's our coaching club, our SaaS, our social media agency, whether it's to buy your, Kevin Marin, super bright guy, blue collar millionaire, you got to go check him out if you're in the blue collar or service space, is he puts people on 2-year contracts. Well, that's a form of premium priced offering, right? Because it puts them in a VIP club. They get for the 2-year raising their hands, they're putting more money, committing to more money, but at a discount, but it also increases the enterprise value for the service business, right? So the reason why we want to go here first is, and this is the first place I look at, right? So if you and I are talking, the first thing I would say is, okay, tell me about your client base, your prospect base. And what most people do is they'd say, I'd really like to be selling more of this, but this is kind of what we're doing here. And they have like the step ladder approach. The step ladder approach is not bad, but it's just bad when you're trying to get cash injected into your business and you already have people in your ecosystem that are willing to spend more money with you. Does that make sense? So it's not bad, but it's like you're underserving the people that want premium priced offerings because they're willing to pay for it. They want to pay for it. They have demands and pain points that you can solve today, and they don't want to go through a step ladder. Okay. And I'll kind of break that down here in a second. But when Elon Musk created Tesla, and I may butcher this a little bit, fellas, but just give me a break on that one. But he created the most premium priced electric vehicle that he possibly could. Well, why did he do that? Because his thought process was, and you see a lot of bright companies do the same thing, is his thought process was, well, where's the high end of the market? What are people willing to spend in the market? And why don't I just go differentiate something and create a $100,000 plus vehicle that the premium price buyers, the ones who identify with that, are going to go to first? Does that make sense? So think about that in your industry or your niche or whatever business you're in. Daniel Priestley calls it, like, if you're spending all your time hanging out with people, like if you're only like, we'll get to pent up demand here, but if you're serving this market most of the time just by osmosis, and one of my kids was supposed to put that dog in the other room, was just by osmosis, you're going to start lowering your price and you're going to be devaluing what you're potentially capable for. And the math to $1 million is just a lot slower. You need more transactions. And so that's why he starts here, because then this dollar amount funds the next layer of service. Okay. And so we start high for the price of this, or the purpose of this exercise, because it allows your brain to have permission to think bigger. It allows your brain to ask yourself, who can I serve and solve an immediate pain point for them faster? Okay. And then that'll give you the cash injection that most businesses need early on. Okay. So what might that sort of look like? So in most businesses, you have something like this, like you go like $7 down here, you got $297, and then you go to $2,000, and then you go to $5,000, and then you got $15,000, and then you got $30,000. Okay. And that's kind of the way most people step ladder this up. the challenge, like I said before, is that these people don't want this and they're ready to buy right now. And so we're going to create that offering for them right away. So how do we accelerate the demand to get you up here, and how do we increase the perceived value so that you're actually perceived as the authority inside that industry, neighborhood, whatever business model that you currently have? Now, there's a bunch of ways to do that. Just want to make sure I'm following the notes here on this to make sure I create value for you. So there's a lot of ways to do that. And a couple of them early on is that we talk about your ability to command a price is in direct relationship to the amount of demand for whatever you're providing. Okay. Hey, Twix, come here, girl. And so that if we can drive this up, it's going to be easier for you to charge a lot of money. Now, here's what's super cool about it. I need you to listen to me on this, right? Very, very important here is that if you don't have a super high demand for your offering right now, your prospects don't know that. Okay. So you don't just start giving away stuff for free and start like hoping you get testimonials. And I'll tell you why. I've tried that before. Back in the day when I started Dentist Profits, right? I was not a dentist, had zero experience in dentistry. And I entered this new market, super competitive market. I was 27 years old, maybe 26 years old. And the challenge I was facing was that I didn't have any testimonials to go to the market with. And so one of the things Alex Hormozi talks about is, well, go find 5 people, work for free, and get your testimonial. Not bad advice. Problem I have with that is that I tried that. And what I was finding is I was like meeting with all these dentists face to face, toes to toes, nose to nose. I was telling them like, hey, I'm going to do all this cool stuff for you. We're going to get all these patients for you. And they'd be like, all right, well, you know, and you're doing this for free, right? And that's the magic phrase. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it for free. Well, here's what I found is that if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. If they don't have any skin in the game, they're not going to do anything. If the team does not see that it's going to directly improve their lives as well as the doctor's lives, as well as the client's lives, you're not going to get any, what would be the term? You're not going to get people to actually do what you need them to do. And so what I found was I was 2.5, 3 months down the road. I still did not have any case studies or testimonials. I finally went to my mentors who I'd licensed the course from. And I said, look, I have a problem. I need to make sales. I got to make money. Like, and guys, trust me, like this was back up against the wall. Crazy time. Like I licensed the rights to sell their product. The product was SHIT. Like it just wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like, hey guys, this is the 101 business strategies that you can grow your dental practice. And I found really quickly that I had to completely learn rapidly on the fly with no net underneath me to figure this stuff out very, very quickly. And the good news for you is that you can do that, right? And you don't need 101 strategies. You need one strategy. And what's even super cool for some of you who are like, Ed, I don't really have a high price ticket offer. Well, guess what? Go partner with somebody who has wisdom, experience, time, and things that you don't have and create one, right? Like any market, there's not one area that if you know somebody who's providing the service or somebody that has the experience, you can go partner with them, charge $30,000, target the right person. And guess what? If you're targeting the right person and that person who's your new partner can solve the pain for them, you have a new business that can make a lot more money. And so it's just reality. Like, so you can't have these limitations. But so what I did is I said, screw it. I went back to them. I said, look, guys, I got to start making money. And they're like, all right, well, I had a sales letter. I had a market. I knew enough that I believed, hey, I know I can help these guys. Like it wasn't dry testing. There was no fakeness of it. I was just super passionate about direct response marketing, education-based marketing. I felt like we had something different. So I said, screw it. We gotta like start making sales. And so I just went to the market and started making sales. Now, as any smart entrepreneur will tell you, is that version 1 is version 1. It's not completely done. It is just one version of what you're creating. And so I started making sales. Now I remember it very vividly. I ran a $1,800 ad in a news trade magazine, $1,800, and I believe I was charging $797, $997, and $1,297. Those were my packages. I actually have the course right there. My daughter, because I'll have her grab it for me. And I had 7 sales. Now I don't know about you, but I just spent $1,800 and I did the math in my head, and I had 7 sales. And in my head, I was like, I am rich. I am rich. I am rich. This is amazing, right? And so now I didn't understand installments and cash flow and refunds. I didn't understand all that. But what was really cool about it was I was able to get buyers in the door. Now, why am I sharing this long story? Even if you feel like, hey, I got to give away some services to get the case studies or testimonials, I think you got to charge something, even if it's at a founder's pricing or beta pricing, because it'll give you the ability to be working with people who are committed. Now, I also believe that to be true with your premium prices. If you want to eventually charge $15,000 or $25,000, and you're like, hey, I want to get this club started or this VIP thing started, but you need to make easy yeses. Well, you sell it that way. You say, look, like, and I'll get into selling here in a few minutes, but the way you position is like, look, hey, this is going to be, $19,997. Now, we are launching with a founder's pricing model where the first 15 who jump in will get this for, and then you name the next price. That's one way to get the case studies. Now, here's the thing. So I'm just kind of giving you, like, if you don't have a lot of case studies, that's how you do that. Now, it'll get you social proof, and it'll get you rolling on the board here. Okay. Now, the other thing that is really important is because we were talking about increasing demand, is the other thing that you can do immediately is take out your phone and start creating 30-second, 1-minute little shorts and reels that you post up on YouTube, on Facebook. And that's not necessarily to generate leads. I'm not telling you that that's your number one lead generation perspective. What I'm telling you is that it is the beginning of you learning how to communicate the solution very, very effectively. Now, I'm kind of talking to you as if you don't have this already. So I'll switch in a second to people that already have that and already want to up level that. Okay. So that's just perceptual demand. The reason why I discovered the interview method to create manufactured perceptual demand was because this guy right here, his name is Dr. Bill Blatchford, super amazing guy, dental coach in the dental industry. He's been there for 35 years, coaching people, tons of experience, amazing man. Came to me, hired me for a day of consulting. Him and his wife came in this room. We sat here, we worked on his business. At the end of the day of consulting, he said, Ed, can I hire you? Like, can I put you on retainer to work with my marketing team? Very quickly, I said to him, I said, look, and this kind of, I still think the Holy Spirit whispered in my ear, because I said, hey, Bill, why don't I just interview you? I'm like, I'll structure the interview in a way that will get everything coming out of you, like all the benefits, all the bullets, all the sales points, everything. And then I'll go through every single objection for you. And it will just completely obliterate every reason why someone doesn't want to work with you. And we'll cover money, we'll cover installments, we'll cover their options. We'll also show them how they're going to get their money back in their account very, very quickly. And when they get on the phone with your sales team, or they get on with one of your doctors, they're going to be ready to buy, instead of your sales team trying to explain and articulate what you do. And so very quickly, they noticed a shift in, like, everyone was coming warmed up. And I told the sales team, I was like, listen, don't get on another phone call with somebody for more than 3 minutes if they did not watch the interview, because the interview will sell them. Okay. And the reason why we do that is because now we're taking your unique specialized information, your unique ability to solve a problem for that ideal client, and in a low risk, because interviews are low risk. It's totally different than if they're watching a video sales letter, isn't it? Like, if somebody's if you're watching a video sales pitch, and you're a little more sophisticated in direct response marketing, you've been around for a while, you're immediately like, okay, there's the 3 pillars. Okay, there's the 3 myths. And those all still work, by the way. But it's just, you get less consumption from people that are busy, that have a lot of things on their plate. They don't want the full 2-hour sales pitch, but they will listen to a 2-hour podcast. Think about that. And then you syndicate this on YouTube, you syndicate it on your Apple podcast, you syndicate it on Spotify. And so now you have a sideways sales machine that's working for you. So all the typical defense mechanisms that premium price buyers would have are now obliterated, and those filters are out the window, and they get to consume. When I work with my high ticket clients, and even when I ask people, I'm like, hey, what's the biggest, listen to this, it's super important, guys, because this goes directly to building up pent up demand. And while you're doing that, you got to create, excuse me, manufactured celebrityship. Okay. You got to create manufactured celebrityship in your niche and industry. Even if no one knows you, even if no one cares about you, you can change that immediately by solving a pressing problem for somebody who has a lot of money. And the way you do that, you shift the perception is you start posting things on YouTube, and you change your social profile. Okay. Let me give me 1 second to text my daughter, who has left. Actually, you guys you'll get to see. Let's see if we're back on. Are we back on? We're back on. You get to see how I'm a parent as I'm running this too. So we did this with Caleb. We did this with Jeff, right? And so these are just a couple power frames that work super well. Now, you're still going to want to have like a basic architecture. I'm looking for the funnel. You're still going to want to have like a basic architecture of a funnel, right? They opt in, they come through the system. But I promise you, if you talk to almost anyone who's really killing it in high price premium offers, they have some form of the podcast or YouTube show that is pre-educating people before they ever get in the door. And before you say this won't work for my business, I promise you, I don't care if you're cleaning gutters, digging ditches, plumbing, anything. And I'm flying out to the event next week, and I was trying to explain to them, like, listen to me, all these people need to have a YouTube presence, a power YouTube channel. So I promise you on that. Jeff Hampton's YouTube channel for his criminal attorney business has just exploded, and they're getting all their referrals from his YouTube channel. So just focus on solving the main core problem that people are willing to spend a lot of money on, and that'll get you a really, really long way. Now, should you be writing a book, and should you be doing all those things? Sure, you could do that. The challenge that I have for you is the book going to take forever? Now, there's a lot of AI books coming out. AI will help you to do that. In my opinion, if you needed to write a book super quickly, you do something like I'm doing right now. You outline all your thoughts, you outline all your things that you should be doing, or that you'd like to, that you can really help people with, and you create a 90-minute workshop or 3-hour workshop, and you teach it. Okay. And then you take the transcripts of that, and then you have an editor go through it, and then you have a book. You'll have a book within 21 days that way. You stick it up on Kindle, get it rolling, build a little book funnel, and all of a sudden you'll have the lower end coming to you as well. That's not the purpose of this training, so I'm going to skip past that. So now, Ed, here's the question. Well, what's the best way to sell the higher ticket stuff? So I'm going to get rid of that for a moment. So let's say you're looking at 15K, 30K, and then 50K plus. Okay. Now let's even go to 5K, right? So let me ask you a question. If what is the easiest sale you could ever make? 3, 2, 1. The easiest sale you can ever make is somebody that was referred to you, right? And so the reason that is because of what? It's because they know, they feel like there's a transfer of trust from somebody that they know, they like, and they trust. Now, know, like, and trust does not mean they believe your credibility and authority. It just means they're giving you a better pass on it. Might want to say that again. Just because I always say this to dentists, I'd be in a room full of people. How many of you guys know people like you, that know you, that trust you, but they don't come to your business? even worse, how many people know you, they like you, they trust you, they're currently a patient of you, but for some reason they went to a different office to get cosmetic dentistry. And then another half the room's hands go up. And I'm like, well, it's because you're not marketing your authority enough for them to realize that you are the logical choice in for that to occur. And so what we got to realize is they might know you, they might like you, they might trust you, but they still got to believe you, and they have to have credibility with you, and they have to have authority with you, right? And so on all of these different levels, you're still have to have some kind of ability to pre-sell and get people moving forward. Okay. Now with these, let's just go through some basic things. So we're going to go after, when I break this down, I'm going to ask myself, who can I help? Who can I help that has the money? Okay. Now, if you're like, Ed, most of my clients, prospects are broke as a joke, well, then you're in the wrong business and wrong line of business. Okay. If I want to get to $1 million, right, and I have a $25,000 offer, let's just do the math, right? Let's just do 30,000, right? I need what? 33.3 people to get to $1 million, right? At 50, you simply need 20, right? At 15K, I can't do the math that fast off my head, but let's say it's 5. Let's go, 5 times 20 is 100. So then you need what? 20, so you need 200. Okay. And then I'll go one more layer down. So it's 2,000. Okay. Now you go all the way to 2,000. What do you need there? You need, is it 500? I think so. 500. Okay. Now we go to like our $7 widget, and then that might be our lead generator. So we got to know, first of all, who are we trying to serve? Let's go. Who are we trying to serve that will happily pay? That's the hard line right there, right? So if you want price to disappear, they got to have the ability to not only pay for it, but they also have the ability to actually take your wisdom, education, insight, transformation, your tools, whatever it is you want to do. And they have to, and this is where the rubber meets the road, by the way, folks. They have to be able to have, they have the money. They have the immediate pain. And I don't care who it is, if people are coming to you wanting you to solve something, no matter what they say to you, there is some kind of emotional pain that they are trying to solve. And so in your sales, you have to be able to say, like, why is this important? You know, is this a now thing or a later thing? Okay. You need to do that. You never even get into your offer until you ask these questions, folks. And that's we'll do that on a different training of sequencing the funnel, sequencing the conversations, whether it's virtual or in person or even on stage, right? And so we have to know who they are. And then can we make price disappear? Okay. Can we eliminate that? Okay. And now, my go-to on eliminating price is always going to start with pre-education, that solves pains. And that's why I told you your best clients are going to come from your social content, or when they buy something less and then they move up really quickly. Actually, what I would say is, I'm going to back up a step. That's why your best clients will always come from if you speak at a live event. Live events are always the best, right? So we'll go from the best to the worst. Live events are always the best because they get to experience you in person. There's something magical that happens in person that just transcends virtual. Okay. Now it's gotten better, by the way. The pandemic and the shutdowns actually accelerated people's adaptation to learning virtually. And so that's a really, really powerful, positive thing for all of us, especially now, because we can reach people. Like right now, we have a dozen or so people on this training, but it fluctuates the whole time. This video will remain on YouTube and get hopefully thousands and thousands of views. And that is a asset that's going to work for years and years. So live event, boom. Live event, we go, okay, so what's the next one down, right? And if you're interviewed on stage, that's even more powerful. And then what you do is you take the video from that interview on stage and you have it put up on your YouTube, on your Facebook, not Facebook, on your Instagram, on LinkedIn, on X, all those places. And what you also do is you use it like in your email backend funnels. Now, by the way, let me take 30 seconds to tell you about this. So in fact, I wasn't sure I was going to get to this, but if you go to offerwingman.com, if it's not there yet, it's going to be there. We're going to be hosting our first ever Offer Wingman Live, where small group of people, and instead of having to invest 15, 25,000 or 30,000 to work with me on doing an interview and then work on your sales pitch and delivery, and then identify exactly your who and actually build your assets in real time. If you want to get on the waiting list, just go ahead and email me, ed@offerwingman.com, and then just put in the subject line, Offer Wingman Live, and we'll get you the details. Or when this is up, we should have the details to the live event. We're just kind of going through the dates right now. We're still figuring that out. So that's one of the most important things. So we have let's go through the sequence. You have speaking on stage, live speaking, even more powerful, being interviewed by the host, which that's one of the things we're going to do in our live training, is I was going to have everybody get interviewed by the host, or have me interview everybody. And then in another room, have like a journalist, like with 3 camera crew interview, and then have you go to another room where you build out all your YouTube shorts and all your reels. And then I thought, well, what'd be super cool is, what if we make sure we have an audience there? And so there's different levels. So if you want to be interviewed, and if you want to speak to the group for 10 minutes or get interviewed in front of the audience, now your reel or your asset that is a conversion asset actually has people in the audience. Well, what does it mean when people are in the audience? That means people will actually care, even if they're all plants, like, hey, I just invited my whole family because I have 7 kids and I'm from one of 13 kids. The whole O'Keefe family showed up, and that's actually not a bad idea. Fill up the whole audience and auditorium, and now everybody, like, it looks like you got 30 people in there when no one showed up to watch you at all. So that's what the speakers used to do, like 30 years ago, like the NSA speakers, the National Speakers Association. They'd be like, oh, okay, and they'd all get there, and then they'd all do these horrible speeches in front of the room, and everyone would clap, and no one really was happy about it at all. I'm kind of kidding, but I'm not. Where the interview actually, we're going to do like a day of training, and then we'll do the interviews, but it's pretty cool. Okay. So interview by host, live speaking. The one thing I talked about at a recent event I spoke at is, I'm like, if I had a gun to my head and I had to make it work, I would ensure that the intro to these things were like, the setup was super powerful. And we just talked about that. Like, how do you make sure the setup is? The mistake a lot of people do when they're trying to build their brand or whatever is they start talking about all the accolades in the past that the prospect doesn't care about. Okay. So it doesn't mean you don't share, like, oh, but like your certifications, no one cares. No one really cares. Like, if you have client results, that's all they care about. Okay. So we got being interviewed, and then now we go to virtual. Now, I had a client, actually, so this is the 3rd client in less than a week, that we're helping them raise their prices. First thing we do, raise your prices to the most elite people. Number 2, how do we clearly articulate how you can relieve a present pain in their life right now. Okay. Now, this goes into the number 1 sin that all real experts do when talking to prospective clients, is they do 2 things wrong. Number 1 is they overeducate. Okay. The problem with overeducating is you're trying to create so much value for them, and you're trying to say, like, look at how excited I am for you, and look at how much I care for you, that I'm not going to even sell you. I'm just going to create value for you. Okay. And at that moment, you're doing the biggest disservice to the prospective client, because the biggest service that you could do to that prospective client is to create insight and awareness that you are the solution to their problem and to the problem they're facing, and they should exchange money with you right then and there. Okay. If you're able to do that, what's a better help? You give them a long list of things to do because you overeducated them, which hurts their brain. They're not going to know how to do it by themselves, and they're definitely not going to buy from you. Or in a much shorter amount of time, you create transformative insight by using a few simple sentences that get them to be like, how do I hire you? How do I hire you right now? How do I get in the group? How do I go buy? Like, that's the difference between what I'm talking about. And I'll give you one small example, is that if somebody says, hey, I'm just going to make up something on the spot here, is like, hey, how do I, I'll give you right what I was talking about. I'm like, how do I sell my prospects my premium priced stuff? And I'll say something like, well, do you know how like most people overeducate, and like when you talk to your prospects, you're teaching them and you spend all this time educating them, but when it comes to close them and sell them, you like kind of tighten up and you don't really know what your next step is, or you don't know how to close and you're kind of sheepishly back off the close. Yeah, I do, totally. Well, we don't even bother overeducating them. We actually spend a lot more time helping them identify the pain and the problem and getting crystal clear on the problem. And then we show them one counterintuitive way to solve it, like what to do rather than how to do it. The problem you're having is you're trying to show them how to do everything. They don't want to know how to do everything. They just need to know what to do. So it creates clarity in their mind that there's hope. Once they have hope and they've clearly identified the pain, they're yours for life. They're going to hire you on a spot. They don't want the checklist. You're going to absolve that off them. That's why most people, especially with premium price stuff, is like they're either buying a couple things, guys. They're either buying transformative insight and clarity, which is worth the $50,000. They're either buying you to just do all of it for them, which makes you the least expensive investment on their salary or their overhead. Because if the result's there, then you just say, "Look, I'm the least expensive thing you'll ever have on your in your company because I'm free." I'm like, "What do you mean you're free?" Well, we charge $5,000 a month, but you're going to be hitting 25, 50, 100,000, $200,000 months really, really quickly. I don't love selling agency services, but that's the pitch on that. Okay. The other pitch on how do you make pricing be eliminated is you take what they're already spending money on and you show them how foolish it is for them to be investing in those other things. Something fun, something easy that I like pointing out is like, hey, if I followed you around all day and like $1,000 a month, think about this. $1,000 a month is what? Is it $33 a day? Something like that off 30 times 30. That's kind of how I'm doing it, times whatever. 3 is around $1,000, right? And I always like to point out, like, look, you spend more than that at Starbucks and Netflix in one day, every day. Okay. And then you go get lunch. Now you're at $50 a day, but you're not getting any of this, right? And then the next thing I like doing, so that's it. That's something worth writing down. How do you make price disappear? Well, you break the price down completely. Take $1,000, take $5,000, whatever it is. Now, $5,000, I did this with Dr. Bill. So Dr. Bill's program was $65,000, right? So here's Dr. Bill's program, $65K. How did I make that price disappear? Well, on the interview, I say, wow, so $65,000, but they get a year of coaching and training with the team. That's right. Bill, based on what you just told me about the 5 questions that will increase case acceptance by 30% and increase transaction size, if they get one new case a month, or one new veneer, or one new implant case, if the average implant case is $7,500, which those could be up much higher than that, plus you get a lot more work with it. What you're telling me is that you're going to help them double or triple their big case flow, but the first case they get is really the investment back into your coaching program, and everything else they do with you is absolutely free. That's correct. Wow. And now what I do is I layer it, is I'll say, and the other thing that happens, the enterprise value of their practice goes up. So when they exit, they don't have to sell to a conglomerate like DSO, which gives them like less value. They're not as happy about it, blah, blah, blah. And the other thing is, since you guys are training the staff, you're taking all that pressure, listen to this, languaging and time off their shoulders. If you're in any niches where they have team issues, this is one of the most powerful places to poke at. So tell me about your team. Oh, my team's awful. Like if they're dealing with client flow problems or whatever flow problems, or their numbers are all over the place, or they're just working overwhelmed, they're too busy, they're going to say my team's awful, like at some place. Okay. Because if they weren't awful, they'd be like, well, everything's kicking ass. We're just trying to go to the next level. You see what I'm saying? How's your team? Well, I got a lot of B players, a couple A players, maybe one C player, but we're always listen to this language. We're always looking for ways to get better. So now you're dealing with a slight edger, right? Okay, cool. Well, we're going to come in and this is what's going to happen. And as you already know, one case is going to pay for all this. Yeah, I already told you. They're going to be like, that guy's going to be like, I got it. Okay, cool. And then they're going to have one or two questions and they're going to be in. The other person, you're going to have to, well, can I talk to my wife a little bit about this? Yes. And what information would you need to know? What information is your wife going to need to know? What else do we need to solve before you get off the call? What other things? Because if she's on board, are you in? Like that's a closing question too as well. But I don't really get into this one-on-one haggling stuff because a lot of the work, the reason we do the work on the front end is so that we don't have to do this. Now, big breakthrough number, like I think we're on like 5 right now, but big breakthrough to get premium prices is territory exclusivity. Now, when I was in dentistry, we launched a program called our dental implant territory exclusive program, right? And territory exclusive. Now, I'm going to give you a free nugget here that's going to blow you away. Is that I would map out, you're the only dentist in this area, right? So let's just say it's like 60643, and we had some radius. It's not an exact science. So that's why I don't love doing this. Here's the other thing is that in some areas, like in law, like I had a client in law and he was doing the territory exclusive program. I said, well, when I came in to help him grow his coaching club, I'm like, the problem with it is that we can't double your coaching program because all the areas where you have the most progressive, let me use a different language pattern there. The most cutting edge attorneys, they're in similar areas. But here's the reality. No matter what anyone tells you, when people choose your practice or your dental practice, they're having one or two other doctors in the area who are doing good marketing helps the area. It creates more interest and awareness in the area. Same thing as with law. Is like what I would recommend doing is pick the one or two practices that they believe they're competing with, and then that's the practice that they're allowed to say you can't sell to this one and you can't sell to this one. Okay, you get two that you can write off and say they're not allowed. And that's what we do there. That's a better way to do territory exclusive, but you could still sell it as territory exclusive. Now, here's what I mean by this. This is super important. When you do that, look at this, guys. When you do that, you just took a $5,000 program for the marketing, the tools, whatever thing is for you, and you just turned it into a $30,000 program by creating that exclusivity. The premium value of saying, look, we're going to take your best competitors and you can X them out. We will never work with them while we're working with you. Bam, you're going to have an advantage. That's so powerful. It makes it so much powerful. Now, the other element of this that we did, which is one of my, how do you make something be perceived more valuable than just information, is we add licensing. So with our territory exclusive program, we added licensing. And what that means is once you stop paying, you can't use our materials anymore. Okay. You can't use our materials anymore. And one of my mentors, Travis Ago, I mean, does licensing brilliantly because if somebody's paying, whether it's 99 bucks a month, 190 bucks a month, and they're using your materials, guess what? They're going to stay with you for a lot longer than if you were just selling coaching or just giving advice. So you want to add licensing into it as well, increases perceived value, allows you to sell against what? What do we sell against, right? Again, how do we make price disappear? So if I was going to sell this package here, like a territory exclusive or licensing, what I would say is you can go buy a franchise, and I would look up like McDonald's. I think McDonald's, a franchise is over 100K. And you can go, I might be a little wrong on that, guys. It might be like 125K. In one of the industries that I'm speaking at this week, it costs people 150 to 225K to get into it. Okay. So the first pitch is, hey, look, if I was going to give you all my tools and I franchise this to you, it would cost you minimally 30, 50, 100, 125K. Let me give you examples. But what's even not in fairness to you, or not, I shouldn't say fairness. I would say, but then you would still owe me 6% of gross revenue, which is really about 30 to 40% of your net profit. Okay. No matter what they tell you. But instead, what I'll do is I'll give you exclusivity. I'll license this package to you, and it's only $15.97 a month after you put down a deposit of 10 grand, $15,000. Okay. That's how we sold the dental implant thing. And so the next layer to this that I didn't have when I was doing this, which I wish I had, was SaaS. Okay. Now I didn't have that, but if I was able to lock in the licensing and be a turnkey, like CRM and white label it, I would do it in a heartbeat. Okay. That would have been what I would do if I'm in a niche, if I'm serving an audience, doesn't matter what market you're in. I would find a way to get a SaaS that they use as part of your program. And the reason is there's two reasons for this. One, it can lock them into this area, right? So you have longer, it puts you in as the big term we learned back in the Dan Kennedy days was pain of disconnect. Now, what is pain of disconnect? Well, pain of disconnect is like when you are as important to their business as electricity is to your house. Okay. So if I got electricity, heat, and water, guess what? Those are the first three things that I'm going to go bartend at the bar to get enough cash to put electricity, heat, and water back in my house. You know, you see the movie like what's it called? With Russell Crowe. What's the first thing? The heat's out in the house. They took his kids away. His wife gives him anything. He goes and he begs for money, does whatever it takes to get the money because he's got to put this in. Well, if you have a software and you are literally the electricity, water, and the heat, you generate the leads into the system. If they want to quit you, they're like literally giving up their business. Okay. So it's super powerful. Got one or two more quick little points, and then I'm going to let you go for today. And I have one really big one that I want to, it's going to change everything on this, right? And I'll bring this full circle. So the last thing here is this, you got all these things, right? When you're selling higher ticket, the last thing that's going to move the needle, because let me ask a question. Is this going to take a little while to set up in a business? Is this going to be like, it's going to take a little while to set up? And then that's where you get some of the stalling out issues with clients, is that they'll be like, well, all right, let me talk to my team. Let me see. And now that guy's gone for 2 weeks. And you're like, dude, WTF? Like you said, you're interested. You said you want this. So like I've advised this in a couple of my clients, like you got to have something that gets them results in the first 3 to 7 days, because that's what's going to eliminate the down payment. If they give me $10,000 today, that's why I'm very selective on like Offer Wingman Not the interview method. Like if any of you guys are interested in Offer Wingman, you want to talk about getting interviewed, just email me at ed@offerwingman.com. Myself or Fel or one of my teammates will get you the details on that. I highly recommend coming out to Offer Wingman Live, where we're going to interview you on stage in front of a live audience. We crystallize your message. We clearly go through your offer, and you get a lot of the same service and I would even argue this is a great pitch too. I would argue even more attention because you're in a bigger group audience. Like so instead of paying $25K, coming to my house and doing it here, which is not a bad thing. Speed of result, you get it faster. You come to a live little mastermind workshop where we do the interview. We have multiple places where you'll build more assets out for your business, but you also get the value of being around other like-minded people who can give you immediate feedback, get joint ventures. And I mean, that's actually a good point. That's actually a really good point on when you sell people into your live group stuff, you got to make sure that you say like, look, people pay me whatever your one-day consulting fee is, say 25,000, 30,000, 50,000, whatever that might be, for a VIP day. If you can position the reason why it's more valuable for many of you to just be in the group, and you don't want one-on-one, because you really don't want to do one-on-one unless it's the right person. I could talk about that separately if you guys have questions, okay? And by the way, if you've liked this training, can you just click subscribe if you're on YouTube? I'm focusing on YouTube. I think we're live right now on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Instagram. It's pretty cool, and YouTube. But so that you're notified for the next ones. But what I was going to say was, you only want to work with people that are going to value the investment, and they're not going to waste your time, and they're looking for speed to results. And that's why they want to spend the extra money to be with you one-on-one, because you want them to get results quickly. And if they're completely clueless as to what business they're in, that's the worst consulting day you'll ever do in your life. Okay. So last thing I want to cover, and then we're going to wrap this up, right? So, so that was the speed to result. You get speed to result is the fence tipper, because what you're going to say is like, look, John, when you sign up today, we're going to give your team, we're going to get on the phone with your team, and we're going to teach them XYZ that's going to increase sales, like literally right when our trainer gets off the call. If you do sales coaching or something like that, we're going to do a reactivation campaign, which is going to get patients back in your door. We're going to do XYZ, and it's going to be installed in for you immediately. Okay. Now, what's the full business model look like, right? Let me go all the way back up to here, and then I'm going to wrap you guys up for the day. Okay. This is the full business model, right? So we start here. In summary, we start high so that we can fund the rest of the operation. Okay. When we fund the rest of the operation, we start building out your $7 to $20 book or quick start thing. You have a $297, $2,000, or $5,000. I like doing challenges. We have another challenge coming up shortly, so make sure you check out offerwingman.com. I don't know the exact dates on it, but we run challenges every 6 to 8 weeks. Challenges are amazing because people can experience you, whether it's 1 day challenge, 3 day challenge, 5 day challenge. They get to experience you for $97, $297, $497, $55. They get to experience your wisdom. And I guarantee you that when they experience your wisdom, if they're the right person, they're going to buy whatever you're selling next. Okay. They're going to buy whatever you're selling next. And then we upgrade from there. So I think I covered my notes. Hopefully this was really, really good for you guys. I skipped a couple things, but I'm reaching my 50. I'm at 59 minutes on this training. So I appreciate you. Hey, a couple things. One is really focusing on growing the YouTube channel. So please subscribe here if you haven't. If you could leave a comment on what you liked, and then also a question mark of something you want me to cover on the next YouTube Live or Facebook Live or Instagram Live, wherever you're seeing me, please leave a comment, because then we'll take those and we'll create more content out of that. And I highly encourage you to email me ed@offerwingman.com. We'll get you the details, or visit us at offerwingman.com for our Offer Wingman Live Intensive that's coming up. And I have a book coming out. I can't tell you what the name of the title is. I'm super excited about it, that we're finalizing. And we have a challenge coming out, which dates will be up on the site very, very shortly. But I appreciate you. Have an amazing day. Share this with a friend or a family member, and go get it. And look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks, everybody.